In 2026, your daily toast will never be the same. A silent ingredient is being slipped into Britain's most trusted loaves, something banned in parts of Europe, linked to health concerns, and completely unnecessary. But what we discovered about the alternatives changes everything. Right now, as you're watching this, there's a quiet revolution happening in British bread, and most shoppers have absolutely no idea. From December 2026, every non-wholemeal loaf in your local Tesco, Sainsbury's, Aldi, or Lidl will contain synthetic folic acid. It's being added under the banner of public health to prevent birth defects, they say. Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? But here's what they're not telling you. Synthetic folic acid isn't the same as natural folate. It's a laboratory-made compound that your body processes differently, and for a significant portion of the population, those with certain genetic variations, this synthetic version can accumulate in the bloodstream, potentially masking serious vitamin deficiencies and causing issues we're only beginning to understand. The real kicker? You won't have a choice, unless you know exactly which breads to buy. This isn't about fear, it's about information. Because while the government mandates synthetic fortification for one type of bread, another category remains completely exempt. And within that exemption lies the answer: breads that are not only free from synthetic additives, but are nutritionally superior in every measurable way. We've spent weeks investigating, analyzing ingredient lists, comparing folate content, speaking to independent nutritionists, examining fermentation processes. And what we found is a clear divide between bread that's designed for profit and shelf life, and bread that's designed for nutrition and health. This investigation isn't just about avoiding synthetic folic acid, it's about understanding what real bread should be, and why most of what we've been buying for decades doesn't even come close. The industry won't tell you this. The supermarkets certainly won't. But by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which breads deserve a place in your home and which ones you should walk straight past, no matter how convenient or cheap they appear. Bread has been a cornerstone of the British diet for centuries. Simple, fundamental, 4 ingredients: flour, water, salt, and thyme. But somewhere in the last 50 years, something changed. Industrial baking took over. Fermentation time was slashed from hours to minutes. Preservatives replaced craft, emulsifiers replaced patience. The result? Loaves that stay unnaturally soft for a week. Bread that compresses to nothing when squeezed and bounces back like a sponge. Ingredient lists longer than a shopping receipt. Most shoppers assume wholemeal means healthy, that fortified means improved, that a familiar brand name guarantees quality. But the truth is far more complicated. And with mandatory fortification arriving in months, the stakes have never been higher. We started by examining the most popular bread brands in UK supermarkets. Kingsmill, Warburton's, the household names that dominate every bread aisle. What we found was disturbing. Take Kingsmill Tasty Wholemeal. The label screams health, but flip it over, read the ingredients, and you'll find 4 different types of flour: wholemeal wheat flour, soy flour, fortified wheat flour, fermented wheat flour, and malted barley flour. Why is there soy in bread? Why multiple flours? Why fermented wheat flour, which sounds healthy but is actually just a processing aid? Then there's the preservative issue. Calcium propionate, E282, appears in nearly every mainstream loaf. It extends shelf life, yes, but it's also been linked to behavioral issues in children and digestive problems in adults. And the emulsifiers, E471 and E472E. Added to create that artificially soft texture that shoppers have been conditioned to expect. Completely unnecessary. Real bread doesn't need them. But here's where it gets worse. White flour, the base of most commercial bread, contains just 25 micrograms of natural folate per 100 grams. Wholemeal flour contains 40 micrograms. From 2026, white flour will be spiked with synthetic folic acid to bring levels up to 250 micrograms per 100 grams. That's 10 times the natural level, and your body has to process it differently. Let's talk about what fortified actually means, because the marketing makes it sound like an upgrade, like you're getting something extra, something beneficial. The reality is far less reassuring. Synthetic folic acid is not folate. Folate is the natural B vitamin found in leafy greens, legumes, and whole grains. Your body recognizes it, absorbs it, uses it efficiently. Folic acid is a laboratory creation, a synthetic compound that requires a specific enzyme, DHFR, to convert it into a form your body can use. And here's the problem. Roughly 40 to 60% of the UK population has a genetic variation called MTHFR that reduces the efficiency of this conversion. For these people, synthetic folic acid can accumulate in the bloodstream as unmetabolized folic acid, UMFA. High levels of UMFA have been associated with immune system disruption, increased cancer risk in certain populations, and the masking of vitamin B12 deficiency, which can lead to irreversible neurological damage. You won't find this on the packaging. We examine the breads that will be affected by fortification. The list is extensive. Hovis soft white medium, Warburton's white toasty, Kingsmill white sliced, Tesco everyday value white. Every single one is made with refined white flour. Every single one will contain synthetic folic acid from December 2026, and every single one already contains preservatives, emulsifiers, and processing aids that have no place in real bread. But the deception runs deeper. We found several wholemeal breads that aren't actually 100% wholemeal. Kingsmill Tasty Wholemeal, Allinson's Classic Wholemeal. Both contain multiple flour types. Both include soy flour and fortified wheat flour. Both are marketed as wholesome options when they're actually highly processed hybrids designed to mimic the texture of white bread while appearing healthier. This is where most shoppers get caught. They see wholemeal on the label and assume they're making a good choice. But unless the ingredients list says 100% wholemeal flour or whole grain flour as the only flour, you're not getting what you think you're getting. Then there's the glycemic issue. Ultra-processed white bread has a glycemic index of around 75. That's higher than table sugar. 2 slices spike your blood sugar faster than eating candy because the flour is so refined that your body converts it to glucose almost instantly. The result? Energy crash. Hunger within an hour. A cycle of snacking and blood sugar swings that contributes to weight gain, insulin resistance, and eventually type 2 diabetes. Real bread, especially sourdough, has a dramatically lower glycemic index. The fermentation process breaks down starches and creates organic acids that slow glucose absorption. You stay fuller longer. Your blood sugar remains stable. This isn't marginal. It's the difference between bread that nourishes and bread that harms. We also discovered something fascinating about folate bioavailability. Natural folate in wholemeal flour is good, but when you add sourdough fermentation, something remarkable happens. The fermentation process increases folate bioavailability by 2 to 3 times. The beneficial bacteria and yeasts produce additional B vitamins. They break down phytic acid, which normally blocks mineral absorption. They pre-digest proteins, making the bread easier on your gut. A slice of wholemeal sourdough delivers more usable folate than a slice of fortified white bread, without any synthetic additives, and it does so in a form your body is designed to recognize and use. This is the information the big bread manufacturers don't want you to know, because once you understand it, their entire product line becomes obsolete. But the industry has one more trick: shelf life deception. Real bread goes stale in 2 to 3 days. That's normal. That's what happens when you make bread from flour, water, salt, and thyme. You can toast it, turn it into breadcrumbs, freeze slices, and toast them as needed. Industrial bread stays soft for a week or more. Pick up a slice and squeeze it. It compresses to nothing and bounces back. That's not bread. That's a chemical construction designed to survive distribution, warehousing, and extended shelf display. The preservatives that make this possible, primarily calcium propionate, are there for profit, not for you. They allow manufacturers to centralize production, reduce waste, and maximize margins. But at what cost? Studies have linked calcium propionate to irritability, restlessness, and sleep disturbances in children. It's been associated with gut microbiome disruption in adults. And it's completely unnecessary if you simply accept that real bread should be eaten fresh. The texture alone should tell you everything. Real bread has substance, structure, a proper crust, and an irregular crumb. It tears rather than compresses. It feels substantial in your hand. Industrial bread feels like foam, because that's essentially what it is: a scaffold of starches held together by emulsifiers and air. And from 2026, that foam will also contain 10 times the natural folate level in the form of a synthetic compound your body struggles to process. Now for the good news. There are breads available in UK supermarkets right now that not only avoid synthetic fortification, but are nutritionally superior in every way. Waitrose No. 1 wholemeal sourdough sits at the top, made with a 10-year-old levain starter, real fermentation. 100% wholemeal flour delivering 40 micrograms of natural folate, amplified 2 to 3 times by the fermentation process. Minimal ingredients, no preservatives, no emulsifiers. This is what bread should be. Biona Organic Rye Bread is another standout. Rye is naturally high in folate, organic ingredients, authentic sourdough culture. No wheat, so exempt from fortification. Dense, filling, and genuinely nutritious. Bertinet Bakery seeded sourdough adds nutritional complexity. Seeds provide extra B vitamins, healthy fats, and minerals. Traditional methods, no shortcuts. Schneider Brot whole grain rye brings German baking tradition to UK shelves. Available at Waitrose, Asda, and Tesco. Properly fermented, no additives. Waitrose No. 1 spelt sourdough uses an ancient grain with better nutrient retention than modern wheat. Some people with wheat sensitivities tolerate spelt better. M&S Bakery Counter Sourdough offers fresh baked quality, no preservatives, designed to be eaten within days, not weeks. All of these share common traits: whole grain or wholemeal flour, real fermentation, minimal ingredients, no preservatives, no emulsifiers, bread as it's meant to be. Here's what changes from December 2026. Every non-wholemeal flour product in your supermarket will contain synthetic folic acid. White bread, white rolls, most pastries, many cereals. It's comprehensive. You'll have 2 choices. Accept it, or choose wholemeal and whole grain alternatives that are exempt. For most shoppers, this will be invisible. The bread will look the same. Taste similar. The label won't shout now with synthetic folic acid. It'll just quietly appear in the ingredients list. But the health implications are real, especially for those with MTHFR genetic variations who can't efficiently process synthetic folic acid. For the elderly, who may already have undiagnosed B12 deficiency that could be masked by high folic acid intake. For anyone concerned about unmetabolized folic acid accumulation. The financial implication is interesting. Real bread, wholemeal sourdough from Waitrose or M&S costs more per loaf. Maybe £2.50 to £3.50 versus £1 for industrial white. But here's the calculation most people miss. Real bread is far more filling. 1 slice of dense wholemeal sourdough satisfies like 3 slices of industrial white. You eat less, buy less frequently, and avoid the health costs down the line. Start by choosing 1 or 2 of the quality options mentioned. Try them, see which suits your taste and budget. Gradually make the switch. If you're at Tesco, Sainsbury's, Aldi, or Lidl, look for wholemeal or whole grain options. Check the ingredients. If it says 100% wholemeal flour or whole grain rye as the only flour, you're safe. If it lists multiple flours or contains soy flour and fortified flour, put it back. The biggest revelation isn't that synthetic folic acid is coming. It's that the best breads, the ones that nourish rather than just fill, have been available all along. We've just been conditioned to ignore them. Real bread doesn't need preservatives. It doesn't need emulsifiers. It doesn't need synthetic vitamins added back after processing strips away the natural ones. Real bread is flour, water, salt, and thyme. That's it. From December 2026, choosing real bread becomes more than preference. It becomes necessity for anyone who wants to avoid synthetic fortification and the potential health issues that come with it. The information is here. The choices are clear. What happens next is entirely up to you. If this investigation opened your eyes, hit the like button and share this video. The bread industry won't spread this information, so we have to. Drop a comment below. What bread are you currently buying? Are you planning to make the switch? Have you noticed the difference between real and industrial bread? We uncover the hidden truths behind everyday UK foods, one investigation at a time. Subscribe to stay informed, because the more you know, the better choices you can make. Thanks for watching. Stay aware, stay sharp. Britain Uncovered is here for you.